Where to start talking about this film? Avengers Endgame was an extremely enjoyable experience. For the 3 hours of length that it was, it did not at any point feel like I required myself to get up and go and take a piss. And any reviews that people have actually put up are definitely right. It's very, very difficult to actually find a correct time to get up and walk away from the movie. Definitely make sure that you actually have any drinks that you're planning to take consumed and imbibed, and be ready to actually kind of suffer the pissing issues that you might have, because the film, for all 3 hours of it, is solidly kind of hooked, so that you're no point are you kind of sitting there going like, this feels like a safe time I could go and do something. I'm trying to think, how could I actually talk about this? The easiest thing to do would actually be record this and edit it down afterwards, so I could just literally say what things were spoilers and what. But it would be so much better to actually have a discussion going on. So if there's anybody else actually sitting floating about in chat or in the Discord channel, I'm going to open up the voice channel here for this and see if the Discord. If you haven't used the Discord before, the link is in the video description underneath. You can always jump in and we can discuss your thoughts, feelings about the Endgame. For me, it was honestly emotional in a couple of points in the film. Like they hit a lot of really good beats, the characters, and I'm still going to say as broad as possible, because I don't even want to say the stuff that I actually kind of got right and things I actually had thought correctly in the way the movie was going to be played out. The how and why and who were very different from what I expected, but in the end, some of the things I was kind of expecting to see really did show up, so I definitely feel like I was gratified with the content that we got. Chat up down here. But I'm going to paste a copy of the Discord link into the group chat. Yep. Oh. If you actually want to join, you can of course hit the link there below and jump in, and the link will take you straight to the Discord, and boom, jump in there. Hey, that's all working. So hopefully, if this is correctly set up, anybody who jumps into the voice chat could actually jump in. Now, be polite. Otherwise, I will boot you out of the chat. The easiest way to explain. Be right, be nice, be good, and get this. So, verbal notes for myself. Think about for whenever I'm putting together a quick review tomorrow. The pace and structure of the film are great and good. The movie doesn't lag behind at any point. The story picks up exactly the right moment. Essentially, with the discussion of how the movie starts, it starts cold with an explanation for something that we've all kind of half wondered, and then it gives it room to breathe with the timeline. So questions that people were asking about who was doing what, where, when at the time of the ashing, then that gets resolved. Shortly afterwards, we're watching a fair amount of people pretty pissed off by what happened, and essentially going off to try and undo things, but obviously in the process of undoing things they find out something very important. And I honestly think structurally with the design for the film, having like I said, at the top of my pre-screener theories, that they needed another failure. They needed another kick in the teeth to really try and break the group, and then the process of doing so, try to resolve things. I thought they were going to go longer before bringing everybody who was still around back together, but they essentially had a MacGuffin to solve that for them, which I kind of almost like. I think in the earlier discussions chatting about the movie, I kind of figured it would exactly happen. Now, Robert Downey Jr. throws in an amazing performance from the top of the movie that was, it was kind of half spoiled by the trailers. His sign-off to Pepper Potts that we saw in the trailers was effective. It caught all of our attentions and made us very, very, very worried what would happen. But how it pays off felt a little bit rushed. But I can understand why, with the amount of things they had to get through. in the movie. There never feels like a moment in the film is slow for the purpose of being slow, except for the fact that sometimes you feel like they're putting in the character beats that they always put into those movies, where they could actually be doing more of an action beat, and the action beats obviously probably take more money, more time, so they can they shoot more of those than they possibly could ever use, and then go, right, how many of these can we fit in? Kind of let our characters grow and emote, learn from even their smallest interactions. Right, I'm trying. So with the actual progression of the plot, after the return of all the characters together, they head off to do their deed, and in the process of doing the deed, learn something. Or not exactly good news. And whenever they actually find themselves confronted with this, it does more fractioning than even Civil War did, because it's what they are. Essentially, the Avengers are there to fix things, and they can't fix what's happened. And in the end up, the world continues to turn. Like, even with something as tragic and as huge as that, nothing stops. Time has no master. It continues on and as a straight line. Time flies like an arrow. Comedy flies like a banana. And with every comedy beat, they actually throw in the kind of humanize the emotions that they're all feeling. It doesn't detract from the impact. Where am I going to go with this? Let's just try and stay spoiler for this part of the video. From the departure at that point to how they get to the resolution, I'm a little bit peeved, because the hinging of the entire movie revolves a random act, and a random act's a random act. Like, essentially a thing that causes a thing to happen. I'm not essentially, we all, whenever you watch the movie, you know exactly what causes things to get turned around, and essentially another story starts. But the first half hour of this movie feels like a post-story kind of rundown, and then with a new status quo involved, they start into the next solution, which is a very, very good way, because how Infinity War ended left people quite blue-balled about a lot of things. And now we actually have had enough time to process that. We might as well kind of have what feels like the beginning of Endgame could have been the end of Infinity War if they hadn't have thought, right, this is going to kick people in the nuts, and this will go down like gangbusters. We'll be thought of as brave for doing this, but I've got a real expectation that a lot of that was shot already. Like the intro to the actual Endgame was already well shot before they even considered where their cut point was going to be in war, because it feels like a natural denouement finish story of Infinity War. And with the kicker scene, the one that actually would bring everything back around to a new hope, like a finale of hope, would have actually been, I don't know, it would have felt more effective then, but I think it would have got a lot more drawn out if they hadn't have filled that first 15 to 20 minutes with the story they were trying to tell otherwise. So yeah, I think structurally they made a better choice, but I can see where the patch lines were put together for it. From this point onwards, it becomes something that nobody expected it to be. Very specifically, it becomes a breakdown, something mechanical, and the mechanics of it are great to watch a number of characters interact and try and deal with and explain to each other, which also makes a load of sense and also no sense whatsoever for what they proceed to do immediately afterwards. So pretty much with the references they make and the jokes they make and the dismissiveness that they use, you're kind of going like, so what are you going to do instead if you're not doing that? And then, right, no, that's exactly what we're doing, just that sounds stupid for you to say it that way. And I'm like, we ain't got Tom Holland to reference the really old movies, do we? So literally at that point, the quest begins, and it definitely this feels more like a quest than the Infinity War quests kind of felt. Like they've done a lot, they've done things twice, and with the second time of doing it, they've used a structure that is very familiar for somebody who had to repeat the exact same task another time, while letting us do a like world tour of a lot of location and a lot of characters, so that they could really give everybody their moment. And watching that end credit scene, kind of realize like, right, how many? Whenever a movie has three whiffs and an and then proceeds to actually do your title characters afterwards in the credit sequence, that is fucking like I am wondering what negotiations went down behind that to cause that situation to happen. So to make sure who gets the and featured. Because there's ands and features. And I think the features specifically because of the method of use of actors. So if you're always going to feature Bradley Cooper and Vin Diesel because they're voicing and mocapping, voice and mocap, essentially for theirs. So yeah, speaking of which, Vin Diesel's character actually didn't have as much screen time this time around. Although he had such an important role in Infinity War, such an important kind of linchpin for Rocket's character, that it's actually have them on screen kind of negates their need to be involved with other people. But where am I at in the plot now? Right, I'm at the quest. So the quest takes form of a number of teams, a number of things, different locations. You get to split them up again, and then go and have a number of poignant moments. One of them, team loadouts, who they put together, is perfect. I mean, you're going to put two people together, have ones that actually have history together, have ones that actually have a layer of importance. I like the fact that one of the teams actually has a third wheel, and he acts like a third wheel the entire time, while the other two are actually kind of understanding what the hell they have to do. With other scenes and other characters, there's personal pride and personal importance laid over, or made more important than actually the jobs they're doing. And then, on one of the teams, actually, there's a gut punch of a timed moment, like a reflected moment that allows us to kind of probably feel the way we felt the first time we saw it, while then also not feeling like heels for applying that to an unsavory character. I'm keeping this as broad as possible, but while talking about it, if you watch the movie, you understand what I'm saying. After that, from then onwards, we actually have a couple of touching moments for characters that kind of resolve issues that they've been having, and that's great. While we then get weaved in between this is a conversation about the mechanics of what they're doing and how it shouldn't work unless they explain how they're going to fix it afterwards, which is great because it's it's something Bill and Ted never really took into account. They don't think of the consequences of their action whenever they actually have to plan all the things they need to do to make the things happen. But if that was the case, I would love if the timeline itself, if it was as variable as it actually is in the movie, for like events happening. Even then, just saying that, I've already kind of made a big mistake of essentially giving you an idea of what's. Kept it as broad as I possibly could until I made that route. Yeah, we get a lot of tied off moments, while also getting a bunch of cameos, which help them kind of get to the tail end of it. I think so pretty much from this point, each of the quest components are resolved, so we get to what would be, if this movie wasn't 3 hours long, a very solid resolution moment, which is then immediately inverted on its head because of some other characters' interaction. So the unexpected for the characters is extremely seen. We're like, we know it's all coming. We know exactly, we kind of pretty sure we know what's going to happen. So the moment everything's resolved, everything's brought back, everything's made better, it just gets fired apart again, which feels like, I mean, they went to the well 3 times for the, we failed this moment, we failed this thing, we failed this task. And whenever they do it, the characters, the resolution that they show, that they literally just pick themselves right back up again. It's definitely the same Avengers we saw after Ultron's attack in the Age of Ultron. Like, the confusion and the disparity between characters is completely gone. Like, the Avengers as a team have resolved all the fracturing and issues that went from Age of Ultron through to Civil War. All that shit is completely left behind at this point because so many people have really suffered loss compared to what they felt was a loss previously. The entire last hour of the movie is just wall to wall fan moments, action beats, comparable to some of the stuff we saw in the Wakanda fight in Infinity War. We saw some stuff that were going on like, yes, 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 and we all cheered and jumped along, but then remember that, right, we're dealing with a much smaller, we're actually dealing with a smaller cast in combat than we did with Civil War. Their scaling as the movies have gone on have been glorious. The Wakanda battle was a great, big, interesting fight. The fact that we saw, the thing is, the Wakanda battle kind of was twisted, or not ruined, but it was almost topped off by its own predecessor within the Black Panther movie, and then literally in Infinity War we're doing it again with the Endgame combat. The kitchen sink is the kitchen sink isn't even like discussed. It is just fired in, and you just hope that you saw it in the background of something because there's a lot going on there. In the process of getting to this point, I already knew how this would all end from before this scene started, basically because of a couple of visual cues, and I was like, God damn it, I'm disappointed. But the inevitable was coming. The one solution that Doctor Strange had actually seen, I'm going to call him Hugh Strange, the Doctor Strange had actually seen, the one win solution is there, and I was going like, right, when does this happen? When do we get to this beat? And then of course we hit the beat, and the movie ties itself down at the end with some wonderfully articulated dialogue from characters, from very poignant pacing, and from very neat cinematography, from the camera moves, eye lines, to a few uttered breaths and a few extra lines. And in the end, we get what would be and should be, I suppose, a post-credit scene before the credits even begin. But that makes sense, just for the fact that that was if they decided to do that after having the tied-off credits that they did, people would feel cheated. Instead, they actually use it as the closing bit of the movie, and it all ties it all back around to the beginning. And timeline-wise, it actually brings it back to the beginning, like literally to the earliest moment of the franchise, while instead of focusing, as it kind of does with the moments beforehand, on the literal start of the franchise. Yeah, I think I managed to actually pull that off there. I actually just kind of rambled through that, and sort of I actually went through the movie without actually giving too much away. That kind of caught me off guard. The only problem is I wish I had been recording that. So yeah, that's my thoughts on Avengers Endgame. I might just cut this stream and then throw it up public and trim off the top of it just to kind of make it all work. But if you have any thoughts, you have any opinions, if you have any guesses of what it might be, throw it in the comments below. Feel free to do so. I'd love to actually do a full spoilers discussion sometime, so if anybody wants to get together with that, the comments in the chat and everything else that's actually there, you can find a way to get in touch with me, and we'll do that sometime in the next week or so, after everybody else has got a chance to watch it without any issues. So, minus spoilers, 5 out of 5, 2 thumbs up. Go and check out the movie. It's obviously just going to be hitting your theaters now, so go and enjoy, and join me in the discussion. Very much for watching, and I will see all you dudes next video. Bye.